Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Summit 3. We've got more China coverage here in phase number 2, and today is Elimination Day. I'm Zyori. Today I'm being joined by syndereN. Sind, you look so good on camera. It's so nice to see you.
Wait, have you put a photo of me on there? Or what?
I think there's a fair
sure you
chance
have.
that may be the case.
That's good. Thank you.
You're welcome,
Thanks.
sir. How are you,
You
buddy?
look good too, even though I can't see you yet. So we're just gonna guess that's the case.
I
and
do
hope I'm
look
right.
good. I did my
Oh,
hair. I washed
oh,
my face. I
don't
shaved a
get
little
cocky
bit.
now.
I'm feeling like $1,000,000, man.
That's good. Well, these guys are playing for, well, not $1,000,000, but what could be quite a significant part of $1,000,000 in the end if they do manage to qualify. So I want to say there's a lot on the line going into this game. Newbie have been doing better as of late than they did at DAC, which isn't a big accomplishment, I guess, but they're starting to get back into it. I feel like DAC was a disaster for them. I think after that they decided to pull themselves together, get some real practice going, and start becoming a good team again. CDEC, I have to admit, haven't seen too much of them myself. I know they've been playing games, but going into this, is it wrong saying that Newbie are probably the favorites?
I wouldn't say they're strong favorites, but I would say that they're definitely favorites. Glancing at the bracket real
Okay.
fast, Newbie looked pretty hit or miss against HGT. I would have said they were favorites coming into that, but it went 3 games, and HGT ended up pulling out a win. So I would say CDEC have been looking on the rise, and Newbie have still been looking hit or miss, I'd say, is even a generous way to put it.
Okay. Yeah, the last time these two teams met, they played a draw. But that's actually a month ago, I think.
Yeah, I don't think
Almost.
they've squared off
Pretty
squared off too recently. So it should be interesting. Shadow Fiend Lion, the opening duo here for CDEC and Newbie. They go with Queen of Pain Axe, man. That Queen of Pain, she has been the talk of the town. I feel like I've been seeing her first picked or first banned more than anything else recently.
Yeah, she did benefit a lot from the upgrade to Sonic Wave becoming pure and her upgrade to Blink. It made her a much stronger hero that isn't just about dominating the lane anymore, but actually has a really big impact in mid game, and having some sort of solution to BKBs is really great. So
Yep.
she definitely got a lot of buffs. I don't know if I would put her as a first phase pick ban right now. I know a lot of teams are doing it, but there's still quite a few heroes that deal very well with Queen of Pain, and if you give her a farming role, or either mid or safe lane, I guess as a sidetrack, that might be the reason she gets picked early, is that she can actually lane anywhere. She can offlane, mid, and safe lane, so you don't really show your hand too much.
Yes.
But I would say generally has a bigger impact in mid lane or safe lane positions, and then if
Yeah.
it goes super late game, is the farm really worth it? So you kind of need to get something done in the mid game with her. But
Yeah, oh,
she's
absolutely.
cool.
She's one of those mid laners that if you're not finding kills, if you're not controlling tempos, you're probably doing something wrong. She is not one that wants to sit back and just trade farm evenly, at least not for too long, if that's going to be the case. Earthshaker, the big support that stands out to me, still in the pool. I think CDEC may have an interest in picking him up here to possibly help protect that Shadow Fiend in the mid, but Newbie, they get their 3 cores to get things started. Queen of Pain into Axe, straight into the Bristleback.
Yeah, that's a very greedy way of drafting. Now, CDEC, no. I mean, you can technically run Axis as support or a position for jungle, and like we said, Queen of Pain can go to either of the 3 lanes, but this does give a lot of information to CDEC, whereas CDEC themselves, what have they shown Newbie? They've shown the Shadow Fiend, who's mid or safe lane, and a Lion, who can actually even work in aggressive tri lanes. Now they get the Witch Doctor too, just grabbing strong ranged supports, so Newbie can't get their hands on them. And now, well, Newbie will definitely be grabbing a support now. I think it kind of has to be ranged. If they get a shake or two, they're very melee oriented in the laning phase, and CDEC could just run away with the lanes fairly easily. So what is there actually? What would you get now?
Well, Ancient Apparition has been banned out.
Yep.
Lion and Witch Doctor are definitely the top 2, I think, in terms of highly
Venge is in.
prioritized supports.
5 seconds remaining.
Wisp is still
Venge
there
has
if they
really
wanted to do
fallen
like a
off.
Wisp Bristle. I don't know if that's something that Newbie run too often.
Yeah, Wisp is okay, I think, but yeah, exactly. Do Newbie really play it is the question. Venge, I think, is the more stable pick. It's also really nice against Shadow Fiend because even during Requiem you can,
Dire team
even during BKB you can stop Requiem with swap, and that's the idea. Can also swap out the Witch Doctor during the Death Ward. So I think that's the more stable and solid pick here for Newbie, and it's interesting to see how much Venge has just fallen out of favor suddenly. She used to be first phase pick as a support, and now
Yeah.
a lot of these games recently, she's second phase if even picked.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what to make of it. She still offers great Roshan control, a huge scouting tool, the repositioning tool in
10
her
seconds
ultimate.
remaining.
Maybe a little bit of it is that Bat Rider is not quite as
seconds
well. At
remaining.
least here in the East, he's first banned every game, and if you go out to Europe and North America,
Reserve
he's
time.
kind of 50-50 banned, a lot of the time ignored. But yeah, I still feel like Venge is maybe not as strong as ever. Her ability is now not quite one-point wonders. Magic Missile sort of scales, and so does everything else. But I think a smart choice for Newbie will open up some options with that Bristleback. They may be Radiant side, but could still take down Roche pretty quick. And here you go. Brewmaster
Newbies,
for
turn to
CDEC
bat.
Gaming. That'll probably be... What are you thinking here? Safe lane Brew with a Shadow Fiend mid, or other way around?
That's a really good question, because you could actually tank the co-op with Brewmaster in lane and get Shadow Fiend a
10
really good start,
seconds
but I think
remaining.
CDEC here will probably mid lane the Shadow Fiend and help him out a little bit with a support
5
early on,
seconds
and just get him... Shadow Fiend is all about getting the first, 4 CS, so you have some damage, and then you can just take care of it. Either
Dire
you
team
get it by
ban.
skilling Raise and getting a fast bottle, or you get Necromastery, and then you generally need a support to secure those CS for you, because a hero like co-op actually has 20 damage on you on level 1. But I like the idea of soloing the Brewmaster. Fast Blink Dagger on him for the team fight potential in the setup
10
for them should be
seconds
really good. Because the
remaining.
risk is, if they put him mid and he gets ganked once, Co-op runs
5
over Brew in
seconds
lane.
remaining.
He shouldn't be able to do anything. Whenever he tries to clap or get a CS, you Shadow Strike and you hit him out of the lane.
Reserve time.
So probably the better choice is to safe lane that one.
Newbies,
Well, and I
turn
think
to
there's a
bat.
good chance that this Axe will be safe lane for Newbie, meaning his Blink Dagger should come out pretty damn quick. So if CDEC don't have some kind of counter tempo to deal with that, things could get tricky. And at least if the Shadow Fiend gets ganked a few times, he can recover pretty easily with some stacks in the jungle, and then Brewmaster can start splitting out some primals and flipping around to try and get some momentum back for his team. Now the final bans come out, Skywrath Mage from CDEC and Void from
10
Newbie. I like that
seconds remaining.
Skywrath ban quite a bit. I feel like this next
he
support from
forgot him.
Newbie
5
probably
seconds
likely to be
remaining.
arranged as well, though. Something like a Treant could be an option here. We've seen him poke his face out a couple of
Reserve
times.
time.
Phoenix also still in the pool. But it's a Visage. Oh, my.
Okay.
That's...
I actually like Treant a lot here.
Yeah.
There isn't that much to remove the living armor. If you use a Bruise Blade, of course, you've got all 3 Burlings hitting, and that would remove it, and Death Ward can do it over time, but still, the amount of... There's nothing like that amazing, short, pulsing damage that just immediately removes the living armor, especially not in the early game. And if you put that living armor on a Bristle or Axe, that can make them really difficult to deal with. So
10
I would have
seconds
really liked that
remaining.
pick, actually. But they get Visage, so they have some more range, and
5 seconds
potentially
remaining.
could be looking at what could be an aggressive try line for Newbie, actually. Venge, Bristle, Visage is a very
Reserve
strong
time.
lane. Stuns into Bristleback, you need to consider, deals a lot of AoE damage with Quills, so it's very easy for Visage to get a full soul assumption, since Bristle will hit multiple targets at once. And CDEC with this dual lane, or these dual range supports that are both fairly weak level 1, Lion has either Earth Spike or Hex, so he picks a short stun and a little damage, or no damage and a long, pseudo stun, if you will. And Witch Doctor, yes, he has good range and high damage, and the cast can be nice, but he's very fragile. So if he gets caught by Venge Stun, he's actually dead.
Okay.
So maybe that's what Newbie are thinking. Else, if they
10
offlane the Axe, he's going to have a
seconds
horrible time. I think.
Yeah. Oh, and here you go. The off-lane Darkseer. I actually saw Darkseer played yesterday, and I'm trying to remember if it was Newbie that did it or if it was someone else. But interesting. I'm not sold on the Darkseer right now. I have to admit, Sind, I think he's a little bit underwhelming in general. But I'm curious about your thoughts of kind of a standalone Darkseer in the off-lane.
So Darkseer has been making a little bit of a comeback, and I think it's because it's becoming more popular to keep the supports busy. And Darkseer is a really good support, or a really good offlaner at forcing supports to stay there, because if they don't, he will easily get experience in gold with the Iron Shell and pressure the safe laner. In this game, there is a vacuum
10
combo. We also shouldn't
seconds
forget that.
remaining.
You can vacuum into Requiem or vacuum into Earth Spike or into a cask, and some of those are more likely to pull off than others. But all in all, I think Darkseer, I like seeing him again. And I do think he vanished a little bit too much, and trends just happen. Like sometimes there really isn't that good of a reason, apart from one or two teams start trying it out in scrims, they have some success with it, and it spreads almost like a disease. And then whether you like Darkseer or not, you can consider it a disease or a blessing. But yeah, Ion Shell too, to round up almost everything he does, right? The Ion Shell for Brewmaster is also really good on the initiations. But
yeah,
I want to say it's an okay pick, but not amazing here.
He is good against the Axe. When I saw him yesterday, it was in a 1v1 matchup. I think one of the teams did an aggro tri-lane, and it was an Axe versus a Darkseer, and that's one of few matchups in a 1v1 where Axe doesn't totally run over the melee hero, and they can farm pretty evenly. So in that regard, I think it makes some sense, but this is a tricky safe lane to go up against. You've got Song Sheng here on the Visage, Banana on the Vengeful Spirit, and I think Rabbit will be your safe lane farmer on the Axe. Moo will take the Queen of Pain mid, and then that leaves June in the off lane here on the Bristle Buddy.
And it looks like CDEC, they will be running the Darkseer off lane. Mid lane will more than likely, as it looks, be Shiki on the Shadow Fiend, and then the tri-lane top will be Garters, Lion, the Witch Doctor of Q, and finally Aggressive on Brewmaster. So as it looks right now, we're going to see Shadow Fiend take the rune, and as is very popular, one of the supports blocks the mid lane while the core gets the rune. So now Shadow Fiend's actually going to have a really nice start. Even though they did also get the rune on Queen of Pain, the block favors CDEC right now, and if Lion helps a little bit, we're going to see the few CS we were talking about Shiki probably needing to get a good start.
Yep, seeing this matchup
he's not
quite
helping.
Oh, okay, there we go. Quite a bit these days of Shadow Fiend versus Quap. It's pretty much the same as all the other Shadow Fiend matchups, where those first few CS very difficult, and once he gets those Necro Mastery stacks going, things get a hell of a lot easier. He did go Necro Mastery level 1. You can see a lot of Shadow Fiends actually just go for the Raise straight away, but here he went for the Wraithband build, no fast bottle, and we'll just be getting that slow grind to get some souls going. Uh-oh, down bottom, Banana was hiding in the trees. It was a trap the whole time. They've got a Grave Chill there, no Soul Assumption. They actually have the damage for this. He does level up Surge, and it looks like XZ will live, but lots of pressure on the Darkseer down bottom.
Yeah, but when this kill fails, he actually gets a lot of experience. You see right now the Radiant creep wave is pushing, and they can't stop this. They have double range creep and more melee creep, so one of the worst things that can happen to a Darkseer level 1 is having to skill Surge and then not being able to distort the equilibrium. But that's already been done. So skilling Surge to survive is perfectly fine, since now comes level 2. He has Ion Shell already, and will now be able to push out and probably almost get level 3 here. So if we look at his options here in the lane, the only thing he really needs to be careful of is getting stunned with Axe in the neighborhood. He doesn't care about Grave Chill. He can always just surge and run off. So running out for Banana here to try and steal the stack is going to be incredibly easy, because Axe has to farm under the tower. And now, well, what are they going to do? He's going to just Ion Shell this, eat a Tango. He could actually probably just start fighting the Venge a little bit here, to be honest. But playing it very safe. We'll try to get the rune. He's going to Shell now, finally, to fight Banana here. This is a fight he's probably going to win, even 1-on-2, if he pulls the Venge away a little bit here.
Well, takes a Soul Assumption to the face, and that'll push him back. But still a good trade for the little blue guy here. He's got 4 last hits out of that, gets his level 3, even secures the Bounty Rune. That could have gone a hell of a lot worse. Checking in on the mid, Moo as well as Shiki here, farming pretty evenly and both pretty poorly at that sentiment. They're both only on 5 last hits right now. It seems both sides are poking each other more than they're poking the creeps. Now up top, June, initiated on by Garter, takes a Hex, cast to follow up. This could be your first blood. June, come on, man. Oh, my. You know, Sind, I have to ask, have you been getting into this this fantasy betting at all, the Vulcan stuff?
No.
No? Oh, my. Well, I've been enjoying it quite a bit. June has not turned out to be a value pick. Yesterday, they put him on Void 2 of their 3 games, and it was a bloody disaster in those 2 games. We had Lotus Spheres all over the place. Oh, man, and not off to a good start here. We'll hold that thought as mid lane. Shiki going to find himself in a sticky wicket here as Banana wraps around the backside and finds an easy pick-off in the mid, making this mid lane a little easier for Moo. But I thought Bristleback, just have to turn your back. This is your hero, June, but apparently not.
Yeah, well, I think out of these 2 kills, the more important kill is the Shadow Fiend one, because sure, Moo isn't getting, like you said, I completely agree. Both of them actually farming fairly poorly here in the early stage in the lane, but now that Moo's level 5 and the Shadow Fiend is level 4 and 2/3, it's the Queen of Pain will inevitably get level 6 first. And that's when it starts getting really scary for Shadow Fiend. He doesn't have a bottle yet. He's actually 300 gold off almost, or let me see, no, 200. But Moo's going to hit level 6 very likely before that bottle comes out. And if he kills him again then Shiki actually can't lane anymore. He has to get help. And are there any stacks? No, they haven't stacked the jungle yet either. So this is not going to be an easy task for Shadow Fiend.
Oof. This is a little scary, actually. With this wave, Quap should find her 6. And Dark Series already been zoned out pretty effectively here. Hasn't found too much XP since we last checked in, with Rabbit soaking up all the farm that his little body can handle. So this is opening up some space for the supports to rotate, and Banana will just hang around in the mid lane. Shadow Fiend goes back. No stack like you mentioned, but does start to clear out some neutrals just to get his repertoire of souls going. Bumps into some poopy mud golems here. This is rocky stuff here for the Shadow Fiend.
That's tough. He's doing the right thing, though. It's definitely better to transition into the jungle and get something there than just getting stomped in lane. But ultimately, you don't want to have to do this at minute 4 unless there's stacks, which there, like we talked about, weren't. So he is still losing the lane by doing this, but he's losing it less. And the bottle is now available. He's going to be sending it out in a second, I think, with this flying courier. They've got wards coming out, too, so maybe Garter will be trying to set up a kill on Moo, perhaps. It is very possible for them to kill this Queen of Pain with a level 2 line and a level 5 Shadow Fiend. Hex makes it super easy to hit 2 or 3 raises, and should you be lacking that little bit, you actually even have the Earth Spike toward the end to land the 3rd one. So this is a very big kill if they can get it, but it looks like they're not even going to try.
Yeah, Garter has a smoke picked up, so he'll hang on to it for now. Not going to force the issue. May want to wait till a possible rune comes out. Well, Axe taking some damage in the bottom lane. He's about halfway to his Blink Dagger, has Tranquils up already. With 1,000 in the bank, comparatively, how's Aggressive looking? Similar, but not quite as strong. Did have to stop off for a bottle on his brown boots, so he'll be about 200 gold behind progress towards the towards the Blink Dagger, but they should come out within a minute or 2 of each other if nothing changes here. The smoke has been popped. Q as well as Garter, Rendezvous, and head down for that 6-minute rune down bottom. A fight's going to break out. Shiki takes a scream right away. Sonic Wave gets lined up on 4. Finds the kill on Shadow Fiend first. Now Moo just needs to survive. Will live through the initial onslaught, but taking a lot of damage here. Axe also joining the party. Brings down the Lion. They get the kill on the Witch Doctor. Everything falling into place for Newbie. Moo barely lives on a handful of hit points. It's a 4-0 about the bottom rune Sind. And Newbie got to be happy with that one.
What a sick Sonic Wave. Wow. It's very... Okay, so hitting a 4-man Sonic Wave is difficult in general, right? It's in a lot of games you see Queen of Pain's the best Sonic Wave they get hits like 2, maybe 3 targets. He hits 4 at minute 6, which is super unlikely. The heroes need to be lining up like this, fighting at the rune spot this early. And, you know, these squishy supports that we talked about for CDEC going into the game, should we get a try versus try situation, we haven't got that, but they're still squishy as hell. Like this Lion and Witch Doctor literally lose more than half their health to a Sonic Wave.
Wow.
Then what are you going to do?
Up top, Bruce Split comes out to go on to June. He's got his back turned, takes a Maledict, but might actually be able to live through it. Has a salve he'll be able to pop to try and get back up to a acceptable level of HP. The Queen of Pain just chain cycloned here. Won't be able to do much, but initial Bruce Split used, and nothing comes out of it. Less than ideal for CDEC, as they can't even finish off the Bristleback. Rather ambitious to go for a level 4 Bristle in that kind of a scenario. If you have a finger there, that's a little bit easier, or anything else to do damage, but that's it. He just walks away.
Looks like I got dealt a little bit of a bad server, so I'm trying to reconnect. I started lagging a little bit, so you're going to have to bear with me while I get back into the game here.
Okay. Fair enough, sir, but Primal Split on cooldown. Usually when you use that ulti for the first time, you really want to find a kill. That I mean, I guess that goes without saying, but it's on a pretty long cooldown, and this is a window where Newbie can feel pretty safe. And you'll see right away, they smoke up Banana and Rabbit. They bump into Shiki. Garter's there, but Berserker's call on too. Shiki, an easy dunk for Rabbit, and now he continues on. Chopping Garter gives him the double dunk. It's a double kill for the Axe. And CDEC get punished just like that.
The health of their heroes is just so low. He Calling Bladed the Lion. What's Lion's max health? I think it's below 500, right? Okay, it's 500.
511.
So when Lion has half health, he dies to Calling Blade. How often do you see that? I mean, This basically means that Sonic Wave and Calling Blade can kill
Dire's
Lion.
top tower
Like
is
those
under
two
attack.
spells, nothing else. They don't even need to land anything like a Scream or something like that. It's the same on the Witch Doctor, I think, if my math is right, which it's not, but almost. They'll need one auto attack as well.
Nothing was worse than the other day when we had a strength morphling in the off lane, and I was trying to figure out the numbers for his threshold to get the max stun. Oh my god, that was one of the most embarrassing displays of math I think I've ever put in the public eye. It was terrible. I kept... in my head, I was saying 50, but the math I was doing was for 100% increase, and it was awful, man. I got to go back to studying or something. It's bad news. Well, not as bad as this game for CDEC, though. About 5K net worth and experience, the lead for Newbie, just shy of the 10-minute mark. Everything kind of falling into place here. Moo, 1,000 gold on his power treads, looking for an Orchid. Axe now has a Blink Dagger, even beginning his BKB, sitting 4-0-0. Meanwhile, you've got this Shadow Fiend who's 0-3-0, not doing a hell of a lot. Q going to get scouted out here. Blink, Berserker's Call. No coconut for you, Q. Now stunned up by a missile. There's another dunk. Blood splatter on the ground, and Rabbit continues his mega kill streak.
Yeah, something's going to have to happen for CDEC. The problem is their supports are super weak, like you pointed out. They're level 3 and 4. The supports on Newbie are level 7 and 7. If you bring up the hero level chart and have a look at how little the Dire supports have done, they've actually accomplished nothing this game. The Lion has got 1 assist, which was the 1 kill they did manage to grab on the Bristleback. That's everything they've done. So if you're CDEC right now, you have to find ganks, because if you start pulling with your supports, you lose the map presence, and you don't have time for it. Like, minute 10, if you've pulled with your supports, at least one of them will be level 6, maybe almost 7 if you do some good pulling.
Yeah.
This game they've got zilch on both of them. So can you fall back on your cores? Not really, because your Shadow Fiend went 0-3 in lane. Your Darkseer is 0-1. Sure, he has some decent farm, but he absolutely needs a mech before he becomes a powerful team fighter. And now finally, maybe the saving grace just gets picked up here by aggressive. There's just a lot of work to do right now.
Uh-oh, XZ down bottom will get initiated on by the Axe as well as the Visage. He uses his Wall of Replica, but it makes no difference. The Bird is already level 8, hits him with a max damage Soul Assumption, and that's another easy kill for Rabbit. This Axe just on a total tirade. And here in the mid, the double damage Queen of Pain looks like she'll secure a tower kill with the help of the Familiars. So quickly taking access points here with the Tier 1 mid and the Tier 1 top down. Now Newbie can start venturing into the CDEC jungle a little more easily and know that CDEC don't have these access points where they could TP and try and look for a surround. So everything kind of falling into place here. And we were talking about the supports. Visage getting a lot of space in the bottom lane. Look at his farm. He's actually ahead of the Shadow Fiend right now in raw net worth. He's got a Medallion, Tranquil Boots. I know, and he only has 1 assist. It's just all farming in the jungle and using the pull-through camp. He's found a huge amount of farm.
Yeah, and it's also only 2 towers they've taken. So it's not that like a ridiculous amount of tower gold or a Roshan or something like that. It's just... yeah, he hasn't died, so he hasn't lost gold, and just slowly but steadily gaining these items. And you know, if you look at it, what's really worrying...
Oh, June. Oh, June, you poor baby. It's a 1-on-5. He turns his back. Can he make it out? It looks like a big no there, syndereN. He's getting close, but he gets turned into a fish, and that will bring him down. Now Moo coming in. He sees a big Sonic Wave in front of him. His eyes just flashing money signs, but can't get there soon enough and won't be able to find any kind of opening. Now Aggressive holding the high ground, has a Blink as well as a Primal Split. They may try to make a Newbie sandwich here, but again, not going to find the proper angle to initiate. Okay, it's a step in the right direction. They find a kill.
Yes, and these kills are very valuable because they're actually pretty far behind. It's not ridiculous tier we're reaching yet where they get like 1,500 gold per kill, but the problem is, yes, they did pull that off, but they rotated 5 heroes. And what was it they killed? The off-lane Bristleback, who isn't really doing too well in this game. That's not your value kill. Your value kill is the Queen of Pain or the Axe, or obviously more than 1 hero. So, like you said, it's a step in the right direction, but they need to find more than this. But still, got Witch Doctor level 5, Lion almost level 5, and I think before they really take a good team fight, those supports have to be level 6. I don't see the damage output coming unless Shadowkin gets a Requiem, but he has treads to set up that Requiem with. That's really unlikely.
Looks like their Tier 1 tower down bottom will be under some pressure. Both supports holding the high ground and ready to move in anyone foolish enough to defend this tower. They do have a ward on the high ground,
Dire's bottom
so
tower
Dire
is under
pretty
attack.
well aware of where the supports are moving here, and it looks like they will just sack that tier 1. Newbie will continue to stay aggressive, though. They get a lane ward down here near the tier 2, and a deep ward behind the tree line, giving a lot of vision into the entryway between the tier 2 and the tier 3 in the mid lane. Now they'll rotate over to the mid. Visage sets it up onto Garter. In comes your primal split, but Rabbit's there as well. Song Sheng stunned up, Coconut bouncing around. Visage will go down, but they trade their Lion for it. Now Rabbit finished off with his time in the Cyclone. Will look for some kills perhaps. The rest of his team on their way in. Another Cyclone out on the Bristleback. Aggressive back into brew form. Another less than ideal split. At least trading 1 for 1 is something even. And Newbie will start to back out. Rabbit still has a dunk. Blink coming up in a few seconds. Could look to reinitiate rather. The Coconut bouncing around. Another Sonic Wave. This time only hits on 2. Now the fight breaks out. They bring down the Veg. Requiem gets channeled. Brewmaster falls, and now Rabbit will try to turn tail and run. It's Moo on the backside looking to finish off these kills. Shiki trying to make it out, but not going to happen. Looks like June will finish him off, but it will cost Moo his life. A 2 for 3, the best fight CDEC has seen yet this game. And I think they'll be able to stomach that. They lose an additional hero, but break even on the net worth trade.
It's all this ward. This ward right here is just kept CD in the game, I think. Maybe they wouldn't have tried for it without it, but they saw the movement of Newbie the whole time. And that's super important there, especially when you kind of waste your brew split. Like you said, they used a brew split, and they got a 1 for 1 trade. Visage for Lion favors CDEC because Visage is richer and higher level and probably more impactful in the game overall. But see, even after Sancheng was dead, I think his birds were still living, so he still has a presence on the battlefield. And without that ward, I think that fight would have gone way worse for them.
Yeah.
And they did get a Requiem off. They got a really good cask off. I think that's what set them up very nicely. And also, they had the mech advantage, which they won't have now. Now they're even on mechs on both sides.
Yeah, Mech is out on the Darkseer. Now it pops in the inventory of 1 Bristleback. So even though he had a tricky beginning here in the offlane, June can still recover. He's done fairly well. 1, 2, and 2. Definitely not the worst laning phase he's ever found himself stuck in. Witch Doctor now level 7. He got quite a bit out of that fight. So now we've got Death Ward. Did Lion ding 6? Yep, he sure did. So now there's a Finger of Death. 2 key ultimates they didn't have in that last fight. And they were still able to do okay. Shadow Fiend looks like Yule's Scepter's where he wants to go. That staff picked up and has enough for the Void Stone. So he's closing on in. There is a little bit of item progression on the side of CDEC. Looking at the gold graph, though, still a very sizable lead for Newbie. Nearly 10k gold, 5,000 experience. Even though the Dire are finding some item progression, same goes for the Radiant. Visage halfway to an Aghanims. Blink close to BKB on the Axe, and that Orchid on the Queen of Pain, maybe the biggest of them all, is just around the corner. About 100 gold away from that recipe as he finishes farming up in the mid lane. So we'll see what Moo can do, level 11, with a big Sonic Wave and an Orchid. That screams kill potential to me, as CDEC smoke up is 5. Uh-oh.
I think Quap can actually pick a target and kill it, pretty much. If there's no immediate counterplay, she can solo anyone with her combo. Orchid, Sonic Wave, Scream, and a couple of right clicks will actually kill anyone.
Definitely enough to kill the Lion or the Witch Doctor, that's for sure.
Yeah, and speaking of Lion, he's actually gotten close to a Blink Dagger. I have no idea how that happened. I guess he got, in that previous fight, he must have got 2 kills in a row as they find Rabbit. This is another easy one for CDEC.
There you go.
Darkseer gets it. That's a 600 streak. Not on kills, just gold. 600 kill streak would probably have ended the game by now. Aggressive, uh-oh.
Oh, here we go. Moo goes in, but Vacuum Wall comes out, connects on quite a few. There's your Death Ward. A little bit of damage, but Mech comes out from both sides, and that'll top everyone off. It's still a 5v4 with Axe in the Grave, finger onto Banana, but no follow-up damage there. And looks like he'll live, at least for now. Visage hanging out on the high ground, ready for a wraparound play here. Has his familiars at the ready. No resummon, but goes in onto Garter. He's isolated off to the side. Sangcheng will get stunned up, but the familiars will continue to chase him down. Now XZ comes in with a surge, and the Lion will walk away. So just the quick pick on the Axe. And that's where that fight will end. No brew split committed, though it was available.
Yeah, that's pretty good for CDEC right there. It's a lot of gold that Darkseer gets. He's going to turn this into almost a 4 staff, and Lion, once again, being an assistant there, close to Blink, 300 away only. Witch Dock point booster. I mean, 1 step at a time for the Dire. They don't really gain, but the most important thing is they don't fall behind. And generally, when you're 7,500 gold behind minute 15, you keep falling behind. So if they can just keep this a 7,500 difference, that difference is going to relatively become less and less of a problem for them as they progress, say, 15 minutes further into the game.
Maybe easier said than done here, Sin. They'll lose their tier 2 tower in the mid lane. Aggressive comes in, Thunderclap onto June, but now Rabbit, BKB on, will follow up. Orchid comes out as well. Moo, where is he? Trying to line up that ultimate, but can't quite find it. Requiem gets channeled, but the Brewmaster goes down first. Now the Coconut bouncing around. Moo will blink to the side, looking for the Darkseer. Death Ward comes out, but no kill is secured. Swap onto Shiki. He'll fall. There's your Sonic Wave from Moo. Secures a double kill on the Queen of Pain. It's a 3-for-0 trade. Not even a trade at that. It's just a victory for Newbie outside of the tier 3 here in the mid.
Yeah, CDEC, they got in on the wrong foot there. They got Brewmaster opened on. He never got the split off. Great Orchid play from Moo, and they got him extremely low. I think he might have had like a quarter of a second to use the split at the back of the fight, but that's really not ideal. So instead, he just gets killed off. Nice heads-up play by Lion, though, getting a Hex on Moo when he was lining up the perfect Sonic Wave, but still, the fight just drags out. Newbie have great damage over time with both Bristleback and the Familiars, and ultimately, they do find a couple of kills with the Sonic Wave at the end. They get Roche, and like you said, no casualties. So that's... yeah, if they can keep the 7,500, never mind.
Yeah, not happening. Now to about 12k gold lead as Newbie get more momentum. You know, whenever you say Orchid play like that, it sounds like a genre of porn. Like you head over to a site and you just get this tab and it's just all these really dirty Orchid plays. And Magnus jumps in and S4 instantly Orchids him, and it's dotaporn.com. That's your first subgenre right there. Orchid play. I like it.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Oh, you could I guess Lions was a fish play. I don't know that's any better.
I'll let you save that one. You can pitch it to Shannon. That'll be the next subset of Dota Cinema.
I love that.
Oh boy. So things getting a little out of control here for Newbie. The Shadow Fiend, he was just starting his road to recovery. 1-5-3 on Shiki. He's gone for his Eul's Scepter now, so does have a decent farming tool with that mana regen, can try and set up those Spirit Bomb Requiems, but this is really tricky here. I feel like this Brewmaster has just been a very difficult hero to make working this draft for CDEC, and I can't quite put my finger on what it is. I don't know if their team is just having trouble building around the Brewmaster, or if it's aggressive that's either having trouble deciding when to go in or when to fight, but it seems like the splits are just not used around times when Newbie are committed to a fight, or there's a guaranteed kill. Kind of like how we saw Garter use the finger during that fight at the tier 1, where he just ran in, fingers a full health Avenge, gets her low, but then there's just no follow-up to find a kill. And usually when you drop a finger like that, you'd rather have it on something that'll end up being a sure death.
Yeah. I think for their lineup, the problem is that they got pressured so much early that they weren't really online at the same time. So they had the Brewmaster blink, but everyone else was so far behind. And as Brew, you can't do it alone. Like you're giving loads of control, but the team needs to do the damage. And well, they couldn't. They didn't have mobility items. Oh, here we go.
Oh, what an awkward smoke here, Sin. They just walk right into him. Aggressive takes the Orchid. He'll die to the Soul Burn. Not even necessary as Rabbit just chops him down. Moo has a double damage rune on, hiding in the tree lines, ready to keep this fight going. Q tries the Death Ward, but it's just a bit too brave. They punish him and send him down 6 feet under to tango with the Grim Reaper. Lion comes in, drops a finger on the Venge, but it will certainly be at the cost of his life. Gets a stun on 2 to make the fight a 1-for-3 overall. I guess better than the last one, but now this tower will go down and Newbie will continue their reign of dominance.
I think it's nigh impossible for CDEC to win a fight without Bruce Split getting off, and they know it. So Rabbit actually just jumps under the tier 2 tower, getting it.
Swap on the Shadow Fiend. He'll use the Eul's Scepter on himself. Gets caught by the Berserker's Call, but a nice Force Staff is there. And that'll keep him safe. Now a TP in from Aggressive. Wants to get off the split, but gets Orchid in right away. Oh, this Orchid play getting me north of the equator. Banana goes down, and CDEC get a casualty out of it. And actually, they bring down the Visage as well. Could have been a little worse, I guess. Was that a buyback on the Brew? No, but Lion did buy back to try and make it happen.
Yeah, they bought back on the Lion and they got a kill on the Venge. I mean, that's pretty even.
That's
not again. Every time CDEC gets a fight, and you would think maybe they got a little advantage. I actually think in this game, if you look at the gold graph, there's only been one fight that favored them over the course of the entire game. That was the time they picked off Axe. Every other trade hasn't even been favorable. So they trade kills, but this time they buy back. They're still not farming enough. the Brew is having, like you said, a really hard game, having to get the split off, but always getting orchided. Moose just playing really, really well in the Queen of Pain, I think, this game, and without the split, they're just not winning the fight. So they have to find an initiation angle for the Brew where the Orchid doesn't come off instantly. Maybe he has to play without clapping, like just blink split. Sometimes that is what you need to do, because that extra half second it takes to cast the Thunderclap can be enough reaction time for the Queen of Pain or even the Axe to blink call you.
Yep. Oh, Shiki. He's in the jungle. He's on the run. Rabbit in hot pursuit with a blink dagger ready. Moo blinks forward as well, and oh, Shiki, he's got no clue. He just wants to farm. They even drop a Sonic Wave for this, and Shadow Fiend gets reduced to a pile of souls. Now, XZ tries to force tap to the high ground. That won't happen. He gets slowed down by the dagger, Blink Berserker's Call, and yet another one for the Rabbit. And now the BKB of Moo is secured, and this is feeling like game one could be coming to an end pretty soon here. Nearly 16K net worth lead. Newbie look towards the high ground with a 5v3 advantage on the field. And CDEC are nowhere to be found. They're busy trying to split push a tier 1 tower right now. They might get the tower, but this tier 3 in the mid in a lot of trouble. Where are the TPs home, boys? They're still committed. Sind.
Buyback from Shadow Fiend. They have mech on June, though. this is a lane of Rax. There's no way CDEC fight this. I don't think they can. They need the darts here.
Shiki's here. He bought back. He says, boys, I'm ready to fight. Where are you, Ishkafel? We need you. He'll TP home, but only in time to watch his melee barracks go down. The wraparound. Shiki walks out of the base. That was just a bloody disaster for CDEC. Oh, no, now Shiki gets caught out. Oh, my mama me. I don't understand. That was so weird. Not worth the tier 1.
That's a dieback, too.
Yeah.
He's out for a minute. They know he can't come back. So this is probably a second lane top. For CDEC to win a fight, they need split to go off, they need a good vacuum, and Shadow Fiend needs to hit either 2 or 3 raises or a Requiem. And now they're missing one piece of the equation. It's just not going to happen. Axe, super tanky right now, can pretty much initiate on anyone he wants without dying, and they can just follow up like they wish.
All right, aggressive. This needs to be the Brew split of all Brew splits. Visage Familiars take down the tier 3 tower on the high ground. There is an upgraded Summon Familiars here. There's a 3rd bird on the field. XZ comes in. Vacuum on 1, but Moo BKBs right away. Now the fight breaks out. Garter and XZ get dropped in a matter of seconds. Before the fight even ends, the Darkseer says, please, sir, I've had enough. No more. No more. Brew goes into split form. Saves his KDA before the Throne will fall, and that helps out my fantasy draft a little bit. But boy, oh boy, CDEC not looking so strong in game 1. This is 55-45 on the bets, and Newbie making quick work of them here in the first match.
Yeah, they just destroyed them in the early game. I think that's pretty much everything that mattered in this game. All the lanes were won by Newbie. The Bristleback didn't win against the Bruin lane, but he got what he needed. And the supports of CDEC were nowhere to be found for the first 15 minutes of the game. If the enemy supports rotate, if they find kills, if your solos are struggling, it's on the supports to make plays happen, and they just didn't. I don't even recall seeing them really trying, which is worrisome going into game 2, because if you're not trying to gank and your supports are still level 3 and 4 at minute 10, then something is really innately wrong with how you played the game. Like then you should have pulled so you got levels, and it just seemed like they got neither. So
it's
I
true.
don't know, really, for me, surprisingly weak showing, because I know CDEC are a really good team. For me, Newbie are the favorites going in, but I think this was more about CDEC messing up the early game than, for me, Newbie playing an incredible game. Like I mean, they destroyed them, right? They played solidly, but it wasn't outstanding because it didn't need to be. So CDEC back to the drawing board for game 2, I think.
Yeah, certainly agreed, my friend. We'll see if they've got something up their sleeve. They tried something a little different with the Darkseer. We'll see how they mix it up coming into game number 2. Stick around, folks, because this is elimination. CDEC now 1 loss away from their road in the Summit 3 Phase 2 coming to an end. I'm Zyori, joined remotely by syndereN. He's also next to me here in the studio. We'll be back after this short break.
I was actually one of the first